protesting?
I'm protesting right here because they killed a black man. He's the only good person that could be out here right now and protesting right now for his stuff.
Oh.
That's all I have to say.
What about you?
I'm protesting because I'm tired of police thinking just because they white that they can kill black people. And I'm tired of it happening. And I'm following what Martin Luther King did. He wants white people and black people to be equal, but the cops, they just think it's a joke. I don't care. I do this for 20 years if I have to. That's what I'm
Beautiful.
Coming to you live from Maryland. Back again, man, with the brother Bobby Hemmitt. We had an awesome time yesterday at the Everlasting Life Health Complex dealing with the Black Moors and the Egyptian Sphinx. Today, you know, Cold Blue Production come today, man. You know, we just come here, man, just to bring information to the people. And again, you know, we've been blessed, man, with Bobby Hemmitt here. We even got Panic in the house today. Panic, what's up, Panic?
Hey, man.
Hey. We got Sister Lakshmi in the house. What's up, Laksh?
Namaste.
And we got Brother Ron, man, come all the way down from New York, you know, to be with the brothers and sisters. What's up, Ron?
What's up?
All right. Anyway, look, we back with you. But let me say this, a couple of things. I've said it time and time again. Recess is over. It's a new day. Like Bobby tried to break down yesterday at the election. The Europeans doing everything he can to shut us down because he knows that we are evolving to the next level. Actually, we already ascending to the fifth dimension now. And a lot of things you see is nothing but an illusion. Bobby also broke down the election about the things about the concentration camp. Yes, we know they got 800 of them out there, but that's for the lower level energies. And that's why it's time for the gods and goddesses to wake up, come together, and do what they got to do and start using the magic. We was also blessed with Brother Azariah come down, and we're grateful for that. But I'm going to bring Bobby on, and we're just going to talk. We're just going to talk about what's happening, what's going on, what we need to do, and let you be the judge of what you need to do. So the next face you will see will be my brother from the ATL in the MD, Bobby Hemmitt. Bobby Hemmitt, what's up, brother?
How's it going, man?
Man, good to see you again as usual, man. Man, look, that was an awesome lecture that took place yesterday at the Everlasting Life Health Complex.
Oh yeah, these are more of events.
Yeah.
Events in time.
Yeah, man. So it's good, you know, to have you back in the area, and this is something that we try and do here with Cold Blue. We want to try to bring information to the people as much as we can, because as you know, man, a lot of things are going on and different things are happening, and we just want people to be aware of what's going on. So Bobby, look, man, you was talking about something very interesting, man, about that Pope thing yesterday, and I think a lot of people wasn't really clear on it, but explain exactly why did the Pope come to the United States right at the time that he did?
Well, they have certain prophecies in the Vatican that the empires will turn to a black nation. And clearly with the whole Obama thing, which they really didn't pay that much attention to until they looked up and somehow mysteriously he started winning these primaries, until it got to the point where he fortified himself, which meant because of the delegate situation in the Democratic Party, he was able to fortify himself, because in the Democratic primaries, it's not based on the popular vote or how many states or what have you. It's based on how many delegates you collect. And so when they did the mathematics, there's no way that Hillary Clinton can catch up with him by June with the delegates, because he got all the delegates. So that meant that the super delegates are going to have to decide. And so they found out that in order for them to save the party, they're going to have to give it to Obama. So when they looked up and they had, and it was fortified, where he was a shoe-in as far as the Democratic primary, getting the nomination to run against McCain, it was serious enough that the Pope took notice, among other things, to come out. This is the first time this man has ever been to America in his life. And because the Pope has a black lineage as far as, and we showed the actual coat of arms, and on his coat of arms he has a Moor called Maurice, and he even mentioned on the internet that he is a Moor. So what happened is this. As you know, Europeans basically were nomadic, savage type existence. They didn't have any type of family structure, had any type of civilization. And the Moors, one of the things the Moors did for the 700 years is they gave them the coat of arms, they gave them family structure, and they basically set up a civilization around them. And so several families and all, they got their family structures based on certain Moors that gave them the coat of arms. In this particular case, by this particular Pope Benedict, his actual coat of arms comes from a direct lineage from the Moors. This particular Moor, Maurice, who was probably the person that was responsible for setting up the structure of his whole lineage, his family. And so that's what. So in that particular aspect, we know that part of the prophecy was if it was going to be turned to black nations, there would be a black president. Because we could take this stuff all the way back to Kemet. So you're talking about the return of a pharaoh, because the original one of the pharaoh's home in Egypt was called the White House, or the double White House. Mm-hmm. And so when it came back to this whole pharaonic thing, and if you notice, not only does his the Pope has a hat on it. If you turn it one sideways, it looks like a fish. Mm-hmm. But if you turn it front ways, it looks like the crown of Osiris. Okay. So there was a link in being interested in this lineage of what was going on with Barack Obama. I'm quite sure he was here for other types of businesses, like you said, setting up some UN soldiers.
Yeah. Well, we're here to come and pretty much give the UN their marching orders, because actually the Pope run the planet other than the Black Pope. Right. They pretty much call the shots on what's going on, and since the United States is pretty much under the domain of the UN, mm-hmm. he had to come and give them their marching orders as well. Right. So yeah. But anyway, man, but you were saying something in particular, man, about those red shoes, man. Break that thing down.
Yeah. The red shoes that he came with, not only does it match the red crown on the coat of arms, the Moor, or the Maurice character on the coat of arms, the Moor, but also the red shoes represents absolute authority. But it also represents the blood of martyrs, of the bloodline of martyrs, and so St. Peter, as a matter of fact. But it also represented the bloodline of the Moorish lineage, passing the bloodline on to the west. Mm-hmm. Now, the story is that the Moors say that the new Camelot, which is the new lot of Kemet, will rise in the west. And so, therefore, with the advent of Barack Obama, which represents the Pharaoh, which also represents the new Camelot, mm-hmm. and we know it's the new Cam because it's been the new Cam. You look at the structure of Washington D.C. and all the pyramids, obelisks, temples, and whatever type things you have. You see, but it was a matter of, and this stuff has been in place, but it was a matter of the black man getting at that coming. Of age to fulfill the prophecies, you see what I'm saying, to actually match the structures that was put in place long ago. And so with this happening, we have Pope Benedict coming to give the blessing and to some way type to put his sanction on the bloodlines.
Speaking of bloodline, isn't Pope Benedict, isn't he German?
German was a Nazi youth and all that too. Mm-hmm. You see mm-hmm. what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Well, you got to look at this particular part too. The Germans, as well as the Germans, as well as most Europeans, had a real hand in and very interest in the whole Kamite mysteries or the Egyptian mysteries also. As a matter of fact, we could even look at the bird for Adolf Hitler, which was the same falcon type bird that held swastikas in each claw. You see what I'm saying? And then you look at the same falcon Horus bird, which is the same as here, that holds the ankhs in both claws. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So we know that in the Masonic iconography, as well as the whole occult realm and the occult realm, this is very significant. Very significant And so therefore, even that type of thing, because he was a Hitler Youth, you see, was a Hitler Youth and all. So it's just interesting here how, for them to even let a Hitler Youth even become the Pope, you got to realize that it has nothing to do with what the mundane world is dealing with. It has something to do with his occult affiliation. And by the Nazis being heavy into the occult, it still is one brotherhood behind the scenes.
Well, yeah, because you know something, man. Him and Bush, from the interviews I saw, both of them said they had something in each other. Could it be Bush's background in Germany, in his family?
Yeah, it has something, right. It has something to do. Remember now, his Prescott Bush, which was the father Bush, was a part of the eugenic society. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that thing go all the way back to Joseph Mengele, don't it? Yeah.
You see, and even before that, so there is a link. There is a link, but it's an occult link of the secret society aspect. Now, because of Barack Obama, probably is a boule, because we always ask that particular question. Why is it that? How did he get to bring Asa Hilliard's body back to the United States? And Asa Hilliard is a tenured professor and was 74 years old. What I'm trying to say, it's not as if he didn't have money. He and his wife or what have you. So obviously that was some type of secret society link that it was his time on deck to take care of the brother.
Right.
You see, so that was one of the things. And the only thing I could think of that the affiliation would have to be the whole boule thing. Well, naturally that would have to be in the workings for the simple fact that you got to have all that kind of credentials to even run for president, to even consider being run for president. You say, well, anybody can run for president. Yeah, but anybody don't necessarily have the money.
Well, let me ask you a question, man, because because Obama is being supported by a lot of people, man. Even we'll say Brzezinski,
right,
Kissinger.
Yeah,
we know who all these people are.
Right.
So he getting big money from some.
Right. There's an Illuminati link, and it has to be an Illuminati link for. It's not based on your desire to run for president. Hell, Al Sharpton ran 4 years ago. It's based on the money, the finances. This is how he was able to win these particular states. Now, you got two things that's going on. You got the mundane political world, which means he has to line up with several people that was even considered our enemies to even get to that particular level. Then there's the spirit world saying, look, down here, we're just trying to get the figure and the image and fulfill the prophecy. You see what I'm saying? And that's just the only way you're going to fulfill that prophecy. Certain things have to be done through the channels of the way the government goes by electing certain people. And even that, but I do believe that they didn't necessarily think that he was going to go that far as the primaries. And when they looked up, even Pope Benedict and them had to come and concede and give the blessing. It's almost like paying homage to the bloodline. You see, to the bloodline. So it's not by mistake that which the red shoes also represent not only an actual absolute authority, but it also represents some form of the blood of martyrs of the bloodline. Then it also means that, but the crown on the Maurice's head of the coat of arms of this Pope Benedict is also red. So all this stuff comes together. You see, even with the secret meeting with Obama.
Right. Let me ask you a question. How you think, outside the United States, with the Obama thing, I'm not saying you really know it, but in your thought, how do you think the rest of the world is viewing this brother, or this black
entire
man,
planet,
or this black man, going as far as he is
the
around
entire
the world?
The entire planet are just ecstatic. They are going crazy in Europe, Asia, Africa. They're going all over the crazy, and all over the world. They're going crazy over Obama. Now remember now, the most racist country is America.
Oh yeah, by far.
Around the world, people love the black man. You see what I'm saying? Around the world, they love the black man. They revere black people around the world. Even with all the propaganda and mind control in which the government has been trying to set up, to destroy our image, they still love the black man. As a matter of fact, I got a friend that sells pornos up in in Chicago, and he says that he makes hundreds of dollars a week off the Arabs coming in the black community to get the black pornos. They love the black woman. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
You see, they revere the black woman. And, you know, so my point here is now the Arabs say, as far as they're concerned, although the whole Christianity is apples and oranges, when you really peel back the layers, they even know that Christianity is nothing but an extension of Judaism. You see what I'm saying? Christianity and Islam.
Yeah.
So they say it's all one and the same, it's apples and oranges, and they say, but the key based on the lineage that they are actually dealing with is the name Barack Hussein Obama.
Right.
So as far as the Muslim world is saying, if they can even get anything like that in the White House, that is a victory for them. Not necessarily on a warfare level, but it's a victory for them based on world image.
Well, let me ask you this, man, and I'm asking for the fact that some people don't understand the game of politics. Now, you know, you got that one, you know, Tamahu, man, that cracker, what's his name, Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
Now, he got this show, it's called Operation Chaos. Because all he do all day long is stir up stuff.
Right.
And what he's been doing, he's been on the campaign to get all the Republicans to vote for Hillary Clinton.
Right.
What do you think his objective is in doing that?
Well, the whole concept here is they know that they think that McCain has a better chance of winning against Hillary, for the simple fact that not necessarily based on that Hillary don't know what she's talking about. Clearly, both Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton is better than McCain, because anytime you got a man that admits that he knows nothing about the economy, you see what I'm saying? It's insane, especially after 8 years of this crazy Bush.
Right.
You don't want no kind of incompetence going up in there. But that's not the point. The point, the reason why they feel that McCain can beat Clinton is because the Clinton machine has become hated with the Clinton regime of the 1990s, and they were not able to throw that away. And to the point, the only people that loved the Clintons were black people.
Especially black women.
Yeah, but the key here is the spirit world came through and showed Bill Clinton, who was unscathed when it came to black people, he becomes the Hitler. You see, in these primaries and stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so there's a spirit thing that's actually working, but they just think that they got a better chance based on the hatred that most people have for the Clintons.
Not only that, man, but you got to understand, too, the European. We live in a patriotic society.
Right.
And you know that white man ain't going for that white woman running stuff.
Right.
That's another thing. He ain't going for that woman running nothing.
That's a part of it too. You can factor in all of that.
Right. So so there's a lot of things going on with that. But I noticed, man, when the Pope was here, man, there's a lot of things going on. But then let's take a look at that article, that face. What do you think they do when they put something like this together?
Well,
on a magazine like that? The visions of what do you think they're trying to tell the people?
And this is about 4 magazines over the last 4 or 5, maybe 6 magazines for U.S. News, Time, and it's about 6 magazines over the past 8 years that showed this face of Jesus. You see what I'm saying? And the interesting part about that is this, because me and the Brother Panic had this particular discussion about people, even as they gain knowledge, like William Henry.
Mm-hmm.
And they gain all this knowledge and information, but somehow they just still can't get off of this Jesus. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
As being a historical figure. They can't leave that alone. You see what I'm saying? And that is because it's one thing. This is giving the white man all types of power. Why would you abandon something that you have fooled the whole world to say that he's been masquerading as God?
Mm-hmm.
So my point here is the last thing, even if they learned various information that there was no historical Jesus, they would still sweep that under the rug because they don't want to get off the power of what the historical Jesus has done by being a historical Jesus that has actually been white. So they would have, if this was a black man as an image, that was a image, and they found out that he was more of a composite figure and was more an attainment and a principle other than being a historical figure, they would expose it a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But the only reason why they keep clinging to this, and they got real profound people who basically unravel these things and know the mysteries of these principles of the Christhood, which predates a historical even notion of having some historical person, they still will not get off that historical thing because historically, it's for the last 2,000 years, it's been the image of a white man.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So that outweighs the truth. You see what I'm saying? That outweighs the truth. This is so as a result, and it's been effective.
Right.
Now, and it's real effective on the continent right now, the continent of Africa.
Oh man, they got them. The Africans act almost like the way blacks did back in the 30s.
Exactly. They're going through what we did at the turn of the century. They're going through all that. That has been an indoctrination program that was given to them.
I love the Lord.
By the white man.
I love the Lord.
So this is what happened after years of colonization. And the funny thing about it is when they were colonized, they had very little religious experience. But we're talking about most of those particular countries have been decolonized since the 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And yet, in the 1990s, they have become Jesus fanatics. So in so many words, you got to realize that is another division of MK Ultra.
MK Ultra, and also
mind control.
And we've seen it for ourselves, man, that a lot of the churches, especially the newer churches they are building ELF towers right in the steeples.
All of that.
Right in the steeples, because it shuts them down, man.
And it's also the state-of-the-art churches that is in Africa.
Right.
And they even now is going to the point where as the regular traditional Catholic churches started losing members by the thousands. And they used to have the Christianity, the biggest group of Christianity in Africa was Catholicism.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Catholicism versus Islam. And they're now losing members by the thousands. And they say, why are you losing these members? They say, because they like to go to churches and do the hooping and the hollering and the jumping all around, the stuff that we went through for years. You see what I'm saying? The roly-poly. And so as a result, the quiet Catholic Church started losing out. So what they said, they gotten sanctioned by the Pope and all them, do what you got to do to get their members back. So now they got the guitars and the drum sets and the flipping and the dancing and all this kind of thing here.
Right.
So it's a big phenomenon in Africa. You see what I'm saying? And remember now, there was a sister named Aviva she was living in Africa at the time in the late 90s. And she was there when Bill Clinton first came. Now, it's ironic, the Bush done went twice to even outdo Bill Clinton. Because he went back in 2006 and he went again about a month ago. You see what I'm saying? So what happened was, and I tell the story how, she got up one day and all of them had on their little Sunday go to meeting clothes on like a Tuesday. And it was like, where you going? They said, we're going to see the Christ. We're going to see Jesus. We're going to see God. We're going to see the Christ. And so she said, oh, well, maybe these Africans done tapped into something. So she got dressed too and went to the rally, and it was Bill Clinton. You see what I'm saying? So we're talking about
an image.
Mind control.
Mm-hmm. An imagery.
That the imagery here is any white man that is actually in the image of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So this thing actually does work. And I remember one guy was riding home. He was talking about all of these leaders and the oil that they got in Nigeria. And it's the Nigerian leaders because the white man is fair. And if they just got on board with him, we could have all this, you see. So I'm like, man, don't you know that you all are really still colonized? They have a clause in the Nigerian thing that they would always be a part of England. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just interesting. So yeah, it's going to that particular level.
Well, let me ask you a question. I mean, we know we got the brother out here, Ray Hagins, man. He's trying to break our people out of some of them spells on that lower level. But what do you think it's going to take, man, to snap our people out of this nonsense, man?
Well, it's going to have to take. It's going to be a divine intervention. Because as far as the masses is gone, it's going to be a divine intervention. But the first glimpse of the divine intervention is us, the enlightened ones. How many thousand it is? If it's 1,000, if it's couple of hundred if it's whatever. You say you talk about spread out over the United States and the Caribbean and stuff. Well, maybe you just talk about a couple of thousand. Now, when you talk about a couple of thousand people as conscious, opposed to millions, that's a small, minute number.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
When you're saying the average person breathing is dead. So it's going to take a divine intervention, but the divine intervention has already happened because we have produced a conscious element that wasn't here 30 years ago. And I'm not talking about black awareness in the particular aspect of how we had traditional consciousness. I'm talking about people that have returned back to everything from the level of historical knowledge all the way up to the godship.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And the godhood. We're really dealing with some real serious stuff. You see what I'm saying? So that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing that's dealing with. So my point here is, because like I tell people, we were all conscious generally as a people after the 60s. All you got to do is go and get the movie Watt Stacks and watch the general attitude of everybody that was living in Watts in the 10-year anniversary of the Watts riots, and when they did the Watt Stacks where they had the big concert commemorating the 10-year anniversary, and they went in the neighborhood, and the average basic person was conscious. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But after 10 or 15, 20 years of COINTELPRO, it's somehow the people became asleep.
Right. Well, you know, our folks definitely sleeping, man, because I mean, even, you know, in my everyday travels, man, I look at the condition of black people, man. I mean, we've gotten worse, man. I mean, you know, I mean, it seems like the masses of the people is getting worse, you know.
Well, it's prophesied. Now, you got to look at this also. That can also be a shield, a decoy, a protection blanket.
Yeah, for the enlightened ones.
For the enlightened ones.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you an example. They said in Africa, when Islam took the top part of Africa, from Egypt, Libya, and they just went across, and those particular people that didn't bear witness to Allah died. They cut your head off, what have you. The Dogon knew that they had to have the Dogon who had come there since the days of Timbuktu was an extension of the Egyptians. They knew that they had to preserve what little knowledge they did have. So what they did is they went very savage. They went crazy. Mm-hmm. When they came up and stuff, they looked like they didn't have, there was nothing to be desired. Therefore, the arrogant Arab said, these people don't deserve Islam. They're too savage. And this was a direct strategy of the Dogon to preserve what knowledge they have. Well, the same thing is happening out here with our people. Because you look at our people, even black people look at our people, and we just see savagery.
Mm-hmm. Utter disgust.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But
that is a form of the divinity. You see what I'm saying? That is the form of the divinity. You see, because the simple fact here is, if the European or the ruling class knew that there was any element of us that even resemble closely of rising up as what has been prophesied in these particular texts, mm-hmm. you see, he would really put forth a machine to covertly kill us off. Although he's doing it anyway, he would really go after certain people, certain people of what I would call the knowledge elite. But what happened was here is our people act so much like a fool. And even when he come in contact with our leaders, the leaders, in response to the European, it is always based on the European's agenda. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So they rarely get a person to stand before them and give the black agenda or a non-Eurocentric agenda. So therefore what it does is it assures the European, or it assures the ruling class. I don't even want to call them ruling class. I want to say, yeah, well, ruling class, because they rule a certain group of people. I would much rather call them ruling class, because that's than powers that be. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't want to invoke nothing, you see, as far as even giving them the power. But the point here is the ruling class, it assures them that we really don't have nothing to worry about when it comes to those Negroes, because everybody we encounter, you see, is subpar. And that's a way of divine protection. You see, that's the way of divine protection. It's almost as if to say, if they had what would be the alternatives? if we started overtly fulfilling the prophecy. So let's say, so you don't take nothing precious and put it in a beautiful gold chained, let's say if you precious wine, and put it in a beautiful gold bottle. So the thief would come and steal the gold bottle. You would always put it in an old raggedy, chipped up, beat up bottle. You see what I'm saying? A beat up bottle. So that's what's going on as far as what's going on. A lot of this type of stuff here is the divine planning. And no matter how hideous it might look, it's a plan, you see, it's so that we can go unscathed as the people that's doing the actual work. So in so many words, they knew, because in the 1990s they were very afraid of the millennium. So they did pay attention to black conscious groups. So, and as a result, they killed Khaled, they locked up H. Rap Brown, they locked up Dr. York. You see what I'm saying? You see, they took note that John Henry Clark passed 10 years ago, as well as Kwame Ture passed, because this is 2008. They both passed in 88. They took note that they might have bumped off Amos Williams more than likely they did in 1995. But nevertheless, going to the millennium, they were very concerned about a black conscious element. You see, as a matter of fact, Ray Hagan has produced, because he's coming in and doing post 9/11 information where Steve Coakley left off.
Right.
So he's doing post 9/11 information, and the information he's dealing with is based on all these Patriot Acts and these particular laws that's been passed. And a lot of these laws that's been passed, yes, when it all came down, they were very concerned about several black conscious groups. You see, but in some kind of way, those particular groups suffered. And they suffered to the particular point where, as you know, black bookstores closed down, UAM closed down, and a lot of these particular groups suffered and all. And that, in so many words, that was the spirit world saying, hey, you don't have nothing to worry about. And again, the ones who are doing the real work can have a free ticket. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to be harassed by people that's thinking, you know, hey, these people are going to eventually replace us. So the transition to the black nations is very smooth. You see what I'm saying? Very smooth.
Well, that's, that's why I'm just, Bob, just trying to get it out there, man, because again, just from my personal experience, it's very few amounts of people that really know what's going on. For instance, when I go to the West Coast, it's like don't nobody know nothing about nothing. It's almost like the conscious community is mainly on the East Coast.
Yeah, it is. In the West Coast, they got small pockets scattered about.
But you go to the West Coast, and it was like, I mean, them people, they don't know nothing about nothing. I mean, because first of all, if you go to California, Nevada, and them places, they are no real black communities. Blacks are out there, but everything is built around the Spanish people and white folks. Black folks just so happen to be there, and they're not getting this information out there, man. And it's almost like, man, when you go out there and you dialogue with these people, it's almost like you talking to somebody in a whole other dimension. Because if it don't come on the television or on the newspaper, they don't know nothing about it. Period, man. Period whatsoever. Hey, man, I see you down there with a big old jug of water. What's that water thing you got down there, man?
Oh, yeah. This is
what is that, man?
This is something that's very important that you helped me out with. This is the nursery water, purified water with added fluoride. Now, I already got fluoride in the water, but fluoride calcifies the pineal gland. And so they decided that with most people, and even most dead people now don't really drink sink water or faucet water. Most people, especially the last 15 years, have really gotten out of that. So they decided that with this particular, in order to really make this thing effective, although it's also in the regular drinking water and probably can enter certain amounts based on your shower and stuff. But basically, most adults, you know, they basically they still use fluoride toothpaste. So that's how they can get most adults. Now, when it comes to babies, they decided, well, if certain people have a certain amount of certain socialized people that just don't deal with fluoride in their diet or in the water or whatever have you, we'll get them on the other end. That way we can ensure that. And basically what they do is they just basically focus on putting it in the doggone baby's water.
Well, see, that's the key, man, because, I mean, you know, especially this young generation, because, we got the indigo children, because, see, even all your holy books talk about children will be wiser but weaker. But what they try to do is make sure that they don't become wise, because by putting that fluoride in the water, they cutting them off, man, right coming out the gate.
Yeah, because wise has a lot to do with the pineal activity.
Right.
And it's interesting because I was talking to an African guy that was actually there last night in the lecture. And he said that he never heard of a toothpaste that didn't have fluoride in it on the whole African continent. So now we are actually seeing that it's heavy on the African continent. Now it's ironic. It could be. He said he's never even heard of any toothpaste. He thought the toothpaste and fluoride went together.
Well, you know, most people do.
And most people do.
Most people do. They think it because it helps with cavities and all that old mess.
All that stuff. So what happened was he never heard of a toothpaste without fluoride. He said all toothpaste in Africa is about fluoride. I said, but it's interesting here because here it is. Europe is closer to Africa than America.
But they don't have it.
They don't have it. No place in Europe.
No place.
You see. No place
at all.
In Europe.
It's not allowed in the country.
Exactly.
It's not allowed there.
On the continent.
You know.
You want to call it a continent.
Yeah.
Right. So that means to tell you and all, and it's the number one thing amongst indigenous people. When Brother Panic was saying that that it's real, the highest dosage is that in the Mexican population or Hispanic, because remember they in another country you can't regulate what kind of water.
Right.
But most products come from the European sector. As far as products, toothpaste, or whatever type thing. And as a result, it's got a higher doses in it than the Americans and stuff. They probably figure they put part in America, they put part in the water and part in the toothpaste, and that'll be sufficient. So in Mexico, probably they have to put what is equivalent to water and the toothpaste over here. They have to put that much and more in the toothpaste in Mexico. So as a result, they were saying when they came over and would drink water with fluoride in it, along with the highest doses that they would have coming from Mexico, they end up dying.
Yeah, because I noticed, man. They really stepped up their game with that fluoride, MSG, any of those kind of things that shut you down. They got these things working. Now I'm gonna take a little shift, man, for a minute, because I just want to get your take on it. I was listening to XM radio just the other day. And up in Chicago, according to the story, they was pulling this man over for not wearing a seatbelt, but the guy kept driving and ran off in the house. Guess he was near home. Next thing they know, they just had a whole tactical unit went in the house and beat everybody up, the mama, and locked the whole family down. But I'm saying, all over the country, there's a lot of extreme police brutality going on, especially in New York, Kentucky, and even down the way you at, because down there in Atlanta ain't no joke.
Yeah, they shot a 90-year-old woman.
You know, so people get so what I'm asking, so my question is this: with all this going on, with all this police brutality, and 90%, especially in these big cities, 90% of these police chiefs are black. You see what I'm saying? A lot of these police chiefs are black. The mayors are black. Police chiefs are black. But there's always black folks getting shot down, beat down. I'm not talking about New York. We know Bloomberg got New York. But my thing is this. Do you think it's an attempt to try to get black folks raised up?
No, I think it's an attempt to instill that fear. You see, they ain't trying to get us to raise up. You see what I'm saying? Because especially now, things are getting real close. And they don't know what that can trigger. If anything, they're still trying to instill the fear. It's the same tactic that they did on the plantation. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that if it's anything, it's like that. They don't really want us to rise up. You see what I'm saying? They would like the status quo as it is. But remember, the melanin is based on fear.
Right, but the reason I'm asking that, because we are the only people that they're doing this to. You never hear or see black police beating down white people and shooting black. All the black police around the country, you never see them shooting white folks, ever. You never shooting them, never see them beating them down, ever.
Well, remember what Azariah said yesterday, Azazel. When they put you on the police force and they've already checked your family's history in whether you are capable of rebelling. So in so many words, the police that stand by and have them beaten down or either participate in beating down the black people, they already have a profile of their temperament, you see what I'm saying, and also based on their family history. So they go through serious evaluations and stuff so that they can find the right candidate with a black self-hatred. It's no different than the Larry Elder syndrome. This man, you know Larry Elder?
He's terrible, man.
This man viciously hates black people.
Well,
a black man that hates black people with a passion. Yeah. As a matter of fact, it's so bad until when he talks with anger against the black people.
Yeah.
It can be just a basic conversation. He's furious with black people.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So this is how deranged this sick person is.
Yeah, Ward Conley and all of them alike.
Right.
All
of
them
guys.
guys.
You see, so it's the same thing with the profile of the police force. You see what I'm saying? This is a science.
Well, let me ask you a question, man. Well, based on the frequency of how these things, because it's getting worse going on. What, in your opinion, what can black people do to combat that? Now, I got some ideas on how we can deal with it.
I think that pretty much the conscious community is pretty much well on the way of handling things. Here again, as far as the masses, it's too vast and too much ignorance. They're too much of part of the fabric of the general society that controls them. It's no different what they said in the Matrix. It's so severe until you're supposed to look at them as the enemy. You see what I'm saying? As the enemy. You see, because you're talking about a people that don't even have a brain, don't have a mind. You see, they are actually bred. And one brother in South Carolina said, you got to understand that we have not really studied breeding process. When someone breeds you, it's no different than when you breed a thoroughbred animal. They cannot break the imperial breeding. You see what I'm saying? And it's imperial breeding. And the imperial breeding can just be breed you for ignorance. Let me give you an example. You could go and look at Black Stars, which is the network, a stars network, and they got the black stars. And you can look at the caliber of movies, if there are movies done about black people. And when they come out, they are not that much far from Good Times. They might be a little more sophisticated, but they're not far from Good Times, and That's My Mama, or what have you, which was in the actual 70s. And I'll have to be. I think Good Times was a little more superior than that because they did deal with issues. You see what I'm saying? They did deal with issues, but I'm trying to say these movies are on such a low level, you see what I'm saying, that there is not even any creative thought for a person to even think alternatively.
Well, speaking of that, why do you think they give somebody like Flavor show?
Well, I'm just saying it's all a part of the same thing. You project what you want, the mindset of these particular dead drones
walking around,
brain dead walking around.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So my point here is you got too many things coming at you to be idealistic about what's going to happen out there, because but that's not important. First of all, let's deal with this. Let's deal with this thing to try to understand one thing. You can look at a population of the European Jews. I don't want to say Jews because we know that they're not the definitive people of the ancient world. We're talking about a modern creation. You see what I'm saying? That is only 500 or 600, 700 years old.
That's nothing.
Right. Well, let's just look at them. And let's look at the ones in America. We don't even have to even look at Israel. We don't even have to even look at Europe. Let's just look at America. And if you look at the Jews in America, they will probably be a severe minority based on how many black people we have. But there's one thing that is to understand about ruling things. And I'll give you 2 economic reasons. Wait. Ruling or becoming to the top of civilization does not necessarily denote that it has to be record numbers. You can have a people that's few that can live and rule on a quality of life that's so advanced that it rules the planet. We see that in the European in general, and we can see that in smaller pockets of communities. You see what I'm saying? In general, of people that's got their shit together. You see what I'm saying? They don't have to have major numbers. Mm-hmm. Major numbers. What is the law that say that major numbers has to be the pinnacle of whether we say we doing good or not? So in so many words, black people are doing good if you discount the masses of useless eaters out here.
Right.
And that's the problem what we have done. We have been bought into this notion that it's all based on how many numbers we have, and we don't realize the science is it's not based on how many numbers you have, because we can even look at the European in the way he does. He's outnumbered on the planet 11-1.
Well, something that, that Sister Lakshmi always say, a lot of times you say our people, and she say them niggas ain't your people.
They ain't your people. Like
you got to quit claiming all these.
You got to quit claiming.
Just because they dark skin, brown skin, you got to quit claiming all these.
Right. See, this is the thing about it. This is the thing about it. As far as you have a demographic of a certain amount of people, and then you will just have people just fill up the landscape, and they might not fit into the demographic of the people who are actually in a better condition than what we think they are. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? And the reason why we keep thinking that we are not at that particular level, because we keep adding the fucking dead ones, you see what I'm saying, who are just basically a part of a landscape. They're just mindless bodies.
You see the
halos on them.
You see, it's like mindless bodies. Let me give you another example. In a case study on black people, on the upper mobile level, it does better. We found this out within the past 100 years. At the turn of the century, they used to have these big families. And part of the big families they used to have, my great-grandmama had 16 children. And she was the exception. She sent them all to college. They was like first generation. We don't know how that happened, but that was some freak thing. But they used to have these big families. And as people started going more and more to a higher economic standard, to my black people, and education standard, the families started getting smaller. You see what I'm saying? Same thing with white folks. Same thing with white folks. The more economically enhanced they are, economically efficient, the smaller the unit of family goes down to. How many doggone children do you see George Bush and the George Bush right now ruling? And he was a homemonger. Loved black women. He still ain't got nothing but what, 2 daughters? Mm-hmm. See what I'm saying? So my point here is we're counting numbers that does not necessarily mean success.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And that's the way the spirit world probably put it there. They gave you an excess amount of people that could be mowed down and plowed through or go through, not only that, they go through the hardships in life based on economic starvation or what have you. You see what I'm saying? Because the more you have of them, the less you have to compromise of people in a greater number that's going to do some good, that's going to be valid. And I don't. So in one way, you can say you could be trained and look at that as elite. But then again, you could look at that as reality. You see what I'm saying? Case in point, like you said, we are successful. When you're saying that every major CEO in the country now is a black man.
Yeah, this major company, man, American Express, Merrill Lynch, you go on, man.
On and on and on. But now, if you want to keep a people on the downtrodden, the illusion of the downtrodden, you understand what I'm saying? You never report these things. You see, we fill every major position in this country. And like they say, all you got to do and look and see that this poverty thing and a lot of these things are mythology that we bought into. Go down to Harlem, not on a Saturday. Go to Harlem on a Monday morning around 12 o'clock, and you won't see nothing but thousands of black people walking around shopping on Monday. And I'm like, who can afford this? You know what I'm saying? I'm blown away. So my point here is a lot of this stuff that we're talking about is illusion. It's the nightly news reporting the poverty, reporting the shootings and the killings and all that type of thing. And it could just be normal in just a regular modern society. It's like Dick Gregory said, there's no such thing as black on black crime.
Well, yeah, because
he said, what about white on white crime? He said, you kill where you live.
Right.
So if you get a couple of white rednecks that kill each other, look, I'm going to give you an example. I live in Georgia. And we have Atlanta now is the inner city where all the black people are. And they used to have killings, but they had the Red Dog people came in and wiped out and broke the dope infrastructure so they could get the Olympics. And they never could, the dope infrastructure never could recover. So therefore the crime is not as, the crack and all that kind of stuff is not as bad in Atlanta because they broke it for the Olympics and it was never able to recover. Mm-hmm. But outside of the outskirts, all you hear is rednecks killing each other. You see what I'm saying? Killing each other, raping each other, white girls missing. Is that called white on white crime? Yes. You kill. So my point here is a lot of these things are a series of things where they're trying to create a mindset for people to self-destruct. And a lot of this stuff might not be the way it is. Now, when you talk about, then again, when you talk about places like Philadelphia where they're killing each other, these are induced killings. Mm-hmm. So what you're dealing with here is nothing but a government program to say, look, we are actually trying to see when we want to take a city like New Orleans. Yes, you can do a Katrina, but that's severe and it happened. But if you want to take a city where you don't necessarily have weather like that, it's very unlikely you're going to have the type of hurricanes and stuff that's going to hit Philadelphia if they want to take back the city. So therefore they give you the same aspect with induced killings, with MK Ultra, mm-hmm. mind control, and different things like that. Because it doesn't happen in a vacuum. Philadelphia, somewhere in the last 4 years, all of a sudden, something clicked, and they just started killing each other in masses. You see what I'm saying? Whereas crime is down in New York City. They got more black people in New York City. You see what I'm saying? And you just don't hear black people. You got occasional robbery and stuff that goes in a big city, but you just don't have these mass senseless murders. Whenever it comes like that and it just outbreak like that, that's something that's induced. So here again, we still talking about something. We're talking about forms of mind control, and it's not necessarily as bad as what we think it is. You see what I'm saying? And here go the other factor is, like I said again, we got to have some people that look a certain way so it can be a decoy so we can get our stuff together, because the spirit is interceding. You see what I'm saying? It is interceding. Just like Barack Obama. Well, there's probably things he had to do to be pro-Israel, to be several things like that just to even get in there, because it was the Israel that got all the money for him. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? And there is the whole concept of his mother being Jewish. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So all these things, but the spirit world said, no, these are things that we put together but it's still fulfilling the prophecy. Number one, that black woman is going to be in the White House, and her family comes from South Carolina, and the Geisha and the Gullah, which is Congo, Africa. You see what I'm saying? And he comes from East Africa. You see what I'm saying? So my point here, which is Maasai and all them, which is also the Egyptian Camite link. So all of this stuff goes, if you look at a bigger picture of it. It's a bigger picture of it. It's not as much as tragic as it is that we have to just figure out where we actually stand. And you got to, where we actually stand. And you know, the funny part about it, they made sure that this spirit world did not discriminate based on economics. And what I mean by that here, the people that are conscious come from all walk of life. Some are poor. Some are well-to-do. You see what I'm saying? Some barely hanging on. So they make sure that this consciousness lets you know, because we don't want this elite thing to happen and stuff where you don't identify with a group of people. You see what I'm saying? They made sure that this thing came together with all levels of black people and all, and it's you know, and it cuts across the social lines of the black community. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? And that's what it was. So it's not to say, you know, the only people conscious is economically viable people. No, we got people that's living one paycheck away from poverty. We got some people in the homeless shelters. Every now and then somebody will show up from the homeless shelter to come to the conscious meeting. You see what I'm saying? So we see these particular things that actually happen. These things that actually happen to let you know that this is not an elite structure, as it is something that is spiritual, is happening with all walks of life. It's not tailor-made by some man-made justice to say, well, we tailored an economic structure or a class system, and as a result, the consciousness came out of that. No, they make sure it's coming to all walks of life. You see what I'm saying? All different behaviors.
And one thing about that also, Bobby, is that you can have 10,000 ignorant people, but they would not have the consciousness of one awakened being.
That's right. That's right.
You see what I mean?
That is right.
So,
that is right. So it's no. So as far as, like I said yesterday, when the spirit world looks down, they don't look at bodies. They look at light.
Right.
So they see a whole bunch of darkness, and they see these little specks of light spread out, and that's the only people that they are interested in, and they gravitate towards even giving them more enlightenment and even protection, and they protect them through the darkness, and the darkness might be the ones that's not awakened.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So they don't look at things. They look at this thing based on light. And like I said, now this thing is going, even in the black community, it's not going based on economics. It's not going based on not based on skin color. It's based on, when I say I'm talking about within the black community, whether it's light skin or dark skin or whatever, whether it's this family over this family, it's now based on enlightened versus darkness. That's the line it's split down with.
Right.
The conscious and the unconscious. Because we can't even say the white man, because our lives don't even interface with white people that much. This is a factor. Our lives every day interface with two people. Some people that you can have some type of round table with to give you some type of ease because you're all on the same frequency of consciousness, and the ignorant.
Right.
And mostly around us is more ignorant than it is a particular person that's going to give you some type of fortitude of sense, or some type of ease when it comes to certain consciousness. And what I mean by that is, you might meet a conscious brother outside of the ones you already know that you put in your circle. You might meet a conscious person every 2 weeks, every 2 months, every 3 months, outside of the ones you know. You just so happen to look up one day and somebody got some sense. Because the majority of the people you might see just as dumb and, like they said, deaf, dumb, and blind.
Yeah, well, you do. You do have a great segment of the people who they just hollow, man. They just
right. And see, what happened was this about that though. But see, this is what I had, which is important for the mindset, because I had to even do that by even being a person that was speaking before a certain community that was in crisis. What I had to do is that I had to stop burning up energy with worrying about something that it's not even animated, it's not even living. So I'm putting some people in the whole concept of my consciousness that doesn't even exist. And that's what C. Freeman L. used to say, why fuck around with stuff that you can't do nothing about? Only deal with that what you can do something about. And so what I had to do was, and that's the fact that was a burden on me for the simple fact I was speaking before a black community. So it was even harder than that. So I was actually putting people, I'm giving all my energy and stuff, even in thought, to a people that's not even here. There ain't nothing, they're in the graves. And so I don't burn up the energy now, even worrying about them on that particular level anymore and stuff, because that's what it does. It drains you for people that's zombies. It's like a, it's,
you know,
it's like
off camera we're talking a little bit, but I noticed, man, what do you think it is, man? You know, all around the country, man, when it comes to these young people, man, and that's how I want to take the time too, you know, we are planning a hip-hop deprogramming summit, and we're looking to do that, man, towards the end of the summer with the New York All-Stars. So we're putting that out there, a hip-hop programming, deprogramming summit, Cold Blue Productions. So stay tuned, everybody. But getting back to what I was talking about, Bobby, I noticed something. It's like a trend, and it got to be some type of forced program, because no matter, I go all over the country, and all the young people are the same. All of them wearing the white T-shirts.
Yeah.
All of them got their pants down in their hand pockets. There's a certain age group. All of them are driving those cars, look like they might be undercover police cars. Or now they're shifting over to the Cadillacs now. Okay? They just shift over to the Cadillacs. And these brothers kind of leaning back. Now a lot of them kind of leaning back in the seat. And the women doing the driving. These niggas don't even get up and pump the gas and do nothing. So what is this going on, man? I mean, you know, brother said something about Shiva, but what's going on with that, man?
Because
in the history of civilization, I've never seen young people so messed up in my life as I have now, man.
Well, it's all a part of the pathological life of the dead. You know, the pathological life of the dead is, you know, even in change, each season you're going to get just a new form of pathology. You see what I'm saying? Otherwise it would burn out. They would go to something constructive. You got to keep the pathology new and interesting. You see what I'm saying? So it's the white tea that came with a doggone shirt.